Get ready for the week's Top 30. I'm Luke Bryan, and you know me. That song and more as I count down the hits this week. Usually at this point, I introduce Lon Helton, but Lon's away this week, and in his place is my buddy Chris Jansen. So Chris, who has the hottest song this week?
Well, Luke, it says here that Kenny Chesney takes the honor this week with Happy Does. Kenny Chesney and the week's hottest song, Happy Does. But will Kenny be happy when we get to number one? Well, we'll find out later on Country Countdown USA. Each week, Lon Helton is joined by a top country star who helps him count down the hits. This week, Lon's off, and I'm Chris Jansen here this week with my good buddy Luke Bryan. How you doing, brother?
Well, I'm glad to be talking to you. It's kind of like there's no hunting seasons right now, so it's a little lonely. So I guess I'll have to write songs, and there was no Crash My Playa, so it's pretty challenging times. But hey, I'm getting to watch a lot of basketball, getting to watch my boys play some basketball, and sometimes I miss out on those because I'm always out on the road touring and doing idol stuff. But hey, just like you, just trying to get in the outdoors a little bit and get through week by week.
I hear you, buddy. Same here, man. We just been fishing when it's warm, but then it turns off cold, and then you get bundled up, and it just kills me not to be out in the woods. But turkey's right around the corner, so we've got a lot to talk about today with our co-host Luke Bryan. So right now, we'll get on with the countdown. We'll get her started at number 30. Here's our buddy Jason Aldean with Blame. Well, Jason Aldean leads off this week's Top 30, Blame It On You. I'm Chris Jansen, filling in for my good buddy Lon Helton, and my co-host is Luke Bryan. Now, before we leave Jason, I saw where the two of you vacationed together in the Caribbean this New Year's Eve. Is that right?
Well, Chris, actually, Jason and Brittany crashed my wife's birthday. So my wife, her birthday is always New Year's Eve, and it's always the deal where I don't do any shows, and obviously I didn't do any shows this year, but we go down to the Dominican Republic, and we take our nieces and our nephew and our two boys.
That's awesome.
Well, Jason calls me. He's like, Luke, is there any available rooms? I've called everywhere. So I called, got Jason a room, and it was actually pretty easy for him and Brittany because it was just two of them. Most of the time, families are renting up this room, so it actually worked out pretty amazing. I made a phone call, helped get them a swanky room. They actually got a swankier room than I did. But anyway, we got to spend some time with them. We got to watch the Georgia Bulldogs. We got to drink together. We got to dance together. We got to play a little golf, and it was a great time hanging with Jason.
That's awesome, dude. I got to know him a little bit over this quarantine summer, too, because it turned out I walked out on the beach in Florida at the house and was smoking a cigar and looked over there. And I thought, well, I'll be dog, there's Jason Aldean sitting over there. And turns out we were neighbors. And then, what do you know? Here goes Luke Bryan cruising across the water in his boat. And I'm like, oh, my God, what is happening? But now we all know that you and Jason had a song together, a great song, by the way, with Eric Church a few years ago, The Only Way I Know, all three of you. That's Jason Aldean with my co-hosts Luke Bryan and Eric Church with their number one from 2012, The Only Way I Know. I'm Chris Jansen taking over the countdown this week with my co-host Luke Bryan. Up next, here's our buddy Blake Shelton. Congratulations, Blake and Gwen, on your new engagement. It is official, and God, did we ever wait for this so long.
Yeah, what in the hell was he waiting on? Yeah, I thought Blake was going to wait till Gwen got her eyes fixed.
Or proposed to him. Blake Shelton's new song is next at number 29. It's called Minimum Wage.
Girl.
Carly Pearce up one this week to number 28 with Next Girl. My co-host Luke Bryan, your current top 5 hit is Down to One. Now, you just debuted the video for it, so let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, we throughout the whole COVID protocols and could we figure out whether we shot videos properly or not, we decided to kind of take the safer route, and we did we rented out a green screen studio, and we built this concept around me being in front of a green screen, and obviously hired some actors. And I think my video director, Michael Monaco, did a great job. And I think it tells the story of Down to One. Obviously, the song is very visual about a couple being out in the country, staring up at the stars. And I think the video was just just shot really, really beautifully, and I'm glad the fans can finally see the new video.
No kidding. And I know the awkwardness of being in front of a green screen, especially when you're a real person like you and me. And but I will say that is a good praise compliment to Mike Monaco, and he's done several videos for me too. And he just makes it easy, so he gets it. Well, here it is, my co-host Luke Bryan with Down to One. Miranda Lambert stays in this week at number 25 with Settling Down. I'm Chris Jansen, co-hosting the Countdown with my buddy Luke Bryan. And as we said, no Crash My Playa this year. That stinks. But Lady A's Charles Kelly was there last year. When he was Lon's co-host, he said he had a real fun time.
We'd all been drinking tequila because, of course, Luke had this huge pad sitting out on the, overlooking the water, and me and Luke and Jason Aldean are just sitting out there with all Luke's buddies all day before the performance. And I remember kind of going, Luke, are we going to head over maybe rehearse some stuff? And Luke's like, oh, Charles, we'll be fine. We're all professionals. And sure enough, we get up on stage, and not one of us remembers any lyrics to any of these songs, but we had a blast. The crowd didn't care. They helped us along, but it was fun. Oh yeah, I forgot about too. I ended up bringing Luke's mama out there on stage and danced with her. So that was
Nice.
That's a great memory. Yeah.
Yet no matter how professional you think you might be, tequila always cancels out any form of being a professional. And gosh, that is not our finer YouTube moment, but we had fun. Charles was actually my special guest down there, and then Charles actually wouldn't ever leave my hotel. I mean, Charles would never leave my little place there. He was there in the pool all morning, but we had a great time. And Jason, it's literally, I've toured with Jason for 2 years, and I've never heard Jason.
Dirk Spitley at number 23 with Gone. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the Countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Before we leave, Dirks, now you took part in the Seven Peaks Festival in 2019. When Dirks was Lon's co-host, he talked about joining you for your show.
Well, he was cracking us up because he held these oxygen canisters on stage, and it's like in between songs, it's like a NASCAR pit crew comes out there. There's the hot stuff for his voice, the beer, let's do a shot of tequila, puffing on oxygen. He had stuff, he plays a song on his piano at one point. He does some medleys, and the top of his piano is covered with oxygen canisters and red Solo cups tipped over and tequila shot glasses, and it's just a party, man. But he's always in control of it. The first half of the show is just hit after hit, and he's just all over the stage, and then he gets more personable, and he kind of all that American Idol stuff, that kind of the talking. He talks to the crowd, and he's funny. It's just a great show, man. He's at the top of his game. He's awesome.
Yeah, well, the thing about Dirks, Chris, is he invites us out to his music festival, 8,600 feet up in the Rocky Mountains, and he's been out there all summer, and he's already acclimated. I was up there on stage. I felt like I was oxygen deprived. I needed to, I was up there inhaling oxygen, trying to survive. But it's like when I started Crash My Playa, Dirks was one of the first people I called. And so when he started Seven Peaks, he called me, and I'm like, buddy, I will be there in 2 seconds. You've been so good to me my whole career. Little did I know I would get out there and sound like a real live mountain lion / wolf singing on his festival. So Dirks, you got to invite me back out there so I can make it up to your fans. I owe you another one.
Whew, it's rough. Well, as we move up on the chart, we're moving up to number 22 on the Countdown. Here's Keith Urban and Pink with One Too Many. Brothers Osborne up a couple to number 20, All Night. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the Countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. A few weeks ago now, you went down to the Super Bowl in Tampa, where you took part in that great big old post-game big concert for small business. I want to know how that was, how the game was, and how it was being there in person.
Well, yeah, first of all, I'm really thankful and honored to be a part of that concert. It was called Big Concerts for Small Businesses, and I was able to donate some money to local businesses in the Nashville area that have been affected, by the Christmas Day bombing, and also that have been affected certainly by the pandemic. And the game was pretty crazy being there. Obviously the game wasn't necessarily a great game because the Kansas City Chiefs got the dose of Brady, but the vibe was great. And anytime you can watch a Super Bowl watch it live. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was watching it because Jesse was in the commercial for Bass Pro, and then before that came on, boom, here pops Luke and Caroline on the television, and she's flicking underwear in your face. I went, oh God.
I know. Could you have ever imagined that your son would be in an ad, during the Super Bowl for Bass Pro, and then I would be? I mean, so it's moments like that when you're a kid, you never can imagine that anybody you're associated with would be a part of such prestigious advertising space. So congrats. I know Jesse was fired up when he saw his face on a Super Bowl ad.
Now let's get to your latest number one margarita. My co-host Luke Bryan and a number one from last year, that's One Margarita. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host Luke Bryan. That song's from your current album, Born Here, Live Here, Die Here. You just announced that deluxe version is going to be released here in April, right after my birthday. It's going to have 6 extra songs. Any of them done during this pandemic?
Yeah, there were a couple songs that I wound up writing during the pandemic, and then obviously a song on there called Waves, which I didn't write, but it was pitched to me during the pandemic. So that was the thing. I mean, I can honestly say I haven't been the hardest worker during the pandemic. I mean, one day, and I'm sure you're the same way, Chris, I started a pandemic photo of all my fishing trips, because I've really gotten to take my boys on some pretty cool fishing trips. But when I was not fishing, I did actually get in the studio and write some music and record some music. And these are the 6 songs that I really did during the pandemic, and I'm really proud of them. And I feel like they really round off Born Here, Live Here, Die Here, the album, and I felt like it was the right thing to do to make a deluxe edition of this album.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And absolutely, to add to what you were saying, I think that kind of stuff's important, and I'm really proud to have the time to do it. Well, here we are back to the countdown, and we're at number 19 with our friend Jake Owen. Well, that was Eric Church up a pair this week to number 18, Hell of a View. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. We talked about the Super Bowl, and Eric was there as well. He sang the national anthem with Jasmine Sullivan, and that was great, by the way. He also performed at the big concert for small business. I don't know if you noticed that he wore that North Carolina blue Air Jordans.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but, he's supporting his home team, even at the Super Bowl. He also won CMA Entertainer of the Year back in November, so that was good. And I know it was a congratulatory year for him, too, especially during this weird time of no touring. But congratulations to Eric.
Yeah, I was watching him. I knew that he was performing the anthem. And, I did the anthem a couple years ago when the Patriots played the Falcons in Houston. And, I was up in the crowd watching him, and I was just like, all right, man, nail it, buddy, nail it, man. I'm thinking about you. Get through it. And so when he got through it, it was, I know he was relieved because I was. And then I texted him after the show, and I said, great job, buddy. And he goes, whew, stressful. So happy you made it through, and I also congrats to him on CMA Entertainer of the Year. He's worked his butt off and earned every bit of that title that he can have this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're back to the countdown, and here's Jordan Davis, a tour mate of mine from the last couple of years, number 17 with Almost Maybe. Jordan Davis up to number 17, Almost Maybes. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Now, hey, Luke, last fall you announced that beer, 2-Lane Lager. By the way, I saw the commercial. It looks pretty good.
Yes.
So what's the latest on that?
We had it all teed up, and we had it in tons of stores, and then the pandemic hits. And in a pandemic, when there's so much uncertainty, everybody goes to the brands that they know. I mean, it was not the time to be trying to run commercials of people dancing and partying. I mean, we had all these commercials where it was like, it was the vibe. It was the vibe that we wanted to create. So we just felt that, you know what, let's pull back a little bit. Let's regroup. And so now, we're getting ready for a relaunch this spring. And, the beer is still, I feel like, it competes and whoops everybody's tail out there. I mean, it's something I'm really, really proud of. All of my beer drinking buddies back home in Georgia, every time I let them have one, they love it. So just keeping my fingers crossed, and we're ready for everybody to be able to buy 2-Lane very, very soon.
Gosh, that's awesome. And you can get all the information on that beer at drinktulane.com. Well, here we are back to the countdown, and we're at number 16 with Dylan Scott and his song. Tennille Arts is up to number 15 this week with Somebody Like That. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Up next is your friend Gabby Barrett. Congrats to her and her husband on that birth of their new daughter, Bayla May. She also had one of the biggest songs of 2020, as we all know, with I Hope. And she finished in third place on American Idol in 2018. That was just 3 short years ago.
Yeah, when you look at Gabby being third place, I always felt something was very, very special about her. So, gosh, you look at how big I Hope as a song. I mean, just a song that crossed over, and I'm so proud for her. And it's why girls like her are why I show up and work so hard at American Idol.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to talk more about American Idol after we hear Gabby Barrett at number 14 with her latest single, The Good Ones. Gabby Barrett at number 14, The Good Ones. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Gabby finished third place on American Idol in 2018. So as 2021 season begins, what can you tell us about this season's contestants?
Well, I think the contestants this season, I'm so thankful they were able to audition in front of the judges. And I tell you what, a lot of the contestants had to do virtual auditions for our producers, and it made kids that wouldn't necessarily go drive to the American Idol bus or drive to a location or submit videos. It actually made it easier to go find some kids that wouldn't necessarily audition. So, I mean, the talent is great this year. We've got some singers that have brought tears to my eyes when they sing. And you know what? I'm just glad that that Idol is rocking, and it looks for the most part like a normal season at Idol.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's from what I could tell, it looks pretty normal to me. That's the one thing I applaud, you know, even with the craziness and the weirdness of not being person to person on things like that, it comes off just as good, in my opinion. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Well, here we are back to the countdown, and we're at number 13 with some friends of ours, Rascal Flatts, with How They Remember You. That's Brett Young at number 12 with Lady. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Now, earlier we talked about American Idol. The 2021 season has just kicked off on ABC TV. How are things going with Katy Perry and Lionel Richie?
Well, obviously Katy is a new mother, and
that's awesome.
So it's been really amazing watching her. It's been amazing, the resilience of how she can literally be up all night, come on the American Idol set, work 12 hours a day. Yep. And she has really earned it this year, and so happy to be back there with her. And Lionel's just the most solid of them all. I mean, if you can't smile and have fun when you're around Lionel Richie, then you need to go get some therapy, because he's one of the best human beings in the world. And it's just good to be back on the show with them. But yeah, I mean, we hadn't seen each other since last spring because of the pandemic. We had to do virtual Idol stuff. So we're so glad to be back in the studio with these kids, and you know, we're just enjoying the role and loving mentoring these kids.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, he does look like a ball to be around. He looks really nice and sweet. And congrats to Katy on that baby. There's nothing like being a parent, and I know you agree with that. It's just the greatest blessing in the world. Well, we're back to the countdown now. We're at number 11 with our friend Dustin Lynch and Mama's House. Florida-Georgia line once again at number 10, Long Live. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. A lot of Lon's co-hosts have talked about you this past year. Among them were some mutual friends of ours, Low Cash. They were on the road with you a few years ago, and Preston told this story from that tour.
Oh, goodness.
And I'll say this, on a personal level, I had been backstage, and I guess I had mentioned to somebody in catering that I wanted to take my little girl fishing soon. She had never been fishing before. And he says, now, which one of y'all is wanting to take your little girl fishing? And I was like, oh, that's me. And he says, well, I got a pond. I want you to bring her out. I want to put a fish on the line. And so not only had he heard about that, but wow, he invited us out to fish. We haven't gone yet, but I mean, I tell you what, that meant a lot to hear that he cared that much, you know, and talked to us about it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the low cash guys. And Preston, you better cash in your fishing credits with me. and you know, the thing about them is I've always just been so impressed with how hard they have worked to get to where they're at. I mean, I remember years ago watching those guys come out with so much energy, and they were still very young and very green in the business, and then they've kept plugging away, and now they're just churning out hit after hit, and nobody's earned it and worked harder than them. And yeah, so I always want the opportunity to facilitate a child's first fish, because she'll go around forever going, I went and caught my first fish in Mr. Luke's pond. So that's what I want. So Preston, get her out there, cash in on the fishing.
Well, that's Low Cash and a number one from last summer. That's One Big Country Song. Awesome song, guys. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Now, we're going to go back to the countdown, and up next is a friend of yours, Luke, Chris Stapleton. Chris wrote Luke's hit, Drink a Beer. Wow, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I guess I did, but it's been a while, and yeah, that's awesome.
He actually sings the backgrounds on Drink a Beer, and no one knows it's Stapleton because it literally sounds like a Mississippi choir in the background singing. It's one of the best vocals I've ever heard, and go back and listen, and I will. That voice is Chris Stapleton. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, this is the title from Chris's new album. It's at number 9 this week. It's called Starting Over. Here's Chris Stapleton at number 9, Starting Over. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. Up next is a good friend of yours, too. This is Thomas Rhett. Thomas was named one of the ACM Entertainers of the Year this last fall. This song name checks a lot of classic country songs.
Yeah, he did get. I'm like, he got them all in there. That's you gotta work hard to get that many songs in there. But I text TR the next morning after he got the ACM win, and I know he's been out there, like all of us, working hard. So I was very proud of him for his Entertainer of the Year award, and he goes about it the right way. Family guy. Yep. And loves on those babies, and loves on Lauren, his wife, and for him to be enjoying so much success is awesome to watch.
Well, here's Thomas Rhett at number 8. What's your country song?
Oh, I think I got a bite.
That's Nico Moon at number 7 with Good Time.
I'm Luke Bryan here with Chris Jansen, and we're co-hosting the countdown while Lon's away. Hey, Chris, you just released a new single. Tell us about Waiting on 5.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and I'm proud of this song. It is the current single. Waiting on 5 is, man, it's a tribute to the working class folks. I love this country, and I love the people that are behind the engine of making this country great and making this country go. And those folks that are waiting to get off at 5 o'clock on a Friday, hit some 2-lane lager. Shout out Luke Bryan. And the kind of people who are looking to celebrate. Man, that is what the country music core audience is. Those are our people. It's the men and women of America waiting to get off of work, wanting to get that weekend started, wanting to have a good time. And it's been such a downer, the pandemic time of just, especially for music, not being able to see live shows and things like that. So anything that I could contribute as an artist is having that song on the radio, man, and having that feel-good message and that feel-good melody, try to smack them right in their souls. And that's what we wanted to do with Waiting on 5. I think we achieved it. Luke, your daddy's farming in South Georgia. My dad's working on cars here in Tennessee. Yeah. It's those kind of people, man. That's the heartbeat of America. And that's what I wanted to write the song about. That's what I wanted to write the song for. And just that overall vibe of getting off, cracking a 6-pack, waiting on 5 to get started on 6 o'clock. However you articulate that, you take it, you go forward, and you have a good co-host Luke Bryan at number 5 with Down to 1. And I'm Chris Jansen here this week with my good buddy Luke Bryan. It's one of the few songs you didn't write, man. So what was it about the song that made you want to record that one?
Well, I think the thing about this song is when you hear the piano pad in the front, and then it goes into that kind of a new sound for me. And then the chorus, I think Dallas and the guys that wrote it did such a the melody there just is so hooky, so infectious. And like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, singing to your girl about falling in love with her out in the country in a truck, I mean, that's how so many country fans out there fall in love on a day in and day out basis. And I just love that it kind of, I had some different sounds that I went melodically and vocally, and so glad it's done well, and so happy for the writers of the song.
From your song at number 5 to number 4, here's Kelsey Ballerini, Holy last week, and he talked about his son Jack and how he's been playing golf with your son Bo.
Yeah, Bo and Jack just love each other's company. They play a lot of golf together, and they have a lot of fun. And it was great for me when I first came to Nashville. Luke was the first person I saw, and he was so great to me. I mean, we were friends, and we hit it off, and he welcomed me to move in here, and it was great. And it's great to have our kids being together. And mine's 16, and he's driving and all that stuff and doing that stuff. And but him and Bo are real good, and he can play, man. He's a great kid too.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, let the record state that Jack Rucker will be a pro golfer. Just go on and take him in the Calcutta or whatever. But Darius moved into a golf course about 10 miles south of my house, and when Darius was close to me, we would play a lot of golf this summer. And Jack, who is 3 years older than Bo, Bo was like the little aggravating brother to Jack, but Jack hung in there with my 12-year-old all summer, and Bo got really good at golf, and it was just really fun, just fun having Jack and Bo out there on the course together. And Bo was learning, swing tips from Jack, and Jack was teaching Bo how to trash talk and stuff like that. But just having, when I was watching Darius with Hootie and the Blowfish, and now knowing his boy and my boy are running around a golf course cutting up together is pretty surreal. And Jack's a great kid, bright future, and gosh, can't believe he's driving.
Yeah, that is scary and awesome at the same time. But man, I bet like you, Luke, if anytime I'm around Darius, even though he's so normal and so cool, and I know him as Hootie, and I respect and revere him as both Hootie and the Blowfish and Darius, it's just crazy, man. It's like I kind of grew up in that era and listening to those hits and everything. So when I get around him, I can't help but just be a little awestruck, honestly.
Yeah, and he's just the greatest dude in the world, and he's one of them guys. His laugh lights up the room, and and we were actually out on the golf course when I heard Beers and Sunshine for the first time, and I was like, well, you got you a big old hit there, D, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, too. He's such a star. Well, that's Darius Rucker. He's up next at number 3 with Beers and Sunshine. Kenny Chesney up a spot at number 2 with Happy Does. I'm Chris Jansen, taking over the countdown with my co-host, Luke Bryan. On to the number 1 song in the USA, and it's the other Luke Combs.
The other Luke?
The other Luke.
I'm cool with the other Luke.
Luke Combs was at Crash My Apply in 2019, the year I was there too, and that was so awesome to have him there. I think we played back-to-back that night. Luke is also an Opry member, and last year he was inducted, and I was part of that too. It was really sentimental. The late Joe Diffie was a part of that, and there's just a lot of moments with Luke that I've had personally that have been great to see him and see his career grow and skyrocket the way that it has. I'm talking about from years ago at Puckett's Grocery, back before I had a record deal, and I was playing songwriter things, and Luke would come fresh out of college. He might have been in college even, and come to those shows, and we still talk about that to this day. But I'm proud for him, and I'm proud for all his success. Here's Luke Combs at number 1 with Better Together. Luke Combs spends his 3rd week at number 1 with Better Together. And there they are, the top 30 hits in the USA as compiled by Country Air Check. I'm Chris Jansen. My co-host has been my buddy Luke Bryan. It's been awesome. And I'm at the Grand Ole Opry next week. So Luke, what's the next few months look like for you, my brother?
Well, we've got the new deluxe album for Born Here, Live Here, Die Here coming out April 9th. And, of course, I'm in L.A. We'll be doing live shows in L.A. for American Idol, and then just crossing my fingers that I can get out on the road sometime in the very, very near future, as you are, I'm sure.
Well, American Idol Sunday nights on ABC. The current top 5 is down to 1. Best of luck with that, brother, and thanks for helping me count down this week. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for filling in for Lon.